Hello everyone and welcome to Forever Rugby on Fair Sport. And today we're going to be picking a non-Springbok SA-based 15, which sounds very complicated, but basically it is picking a 15 of the best players, in my opinion, from 2021 that are currently playing in South Africa that did not play for the Springboks this year. Okay, so it's not actually that complicated at the end. So basically, it's if for example, if a player was part of a Springbok squad but didn't get capped or didn't play, for example, then they can be selected. But if they did play for the Springboks or they did get capped this year, then they are out of selection. Basically, trying to pick a sort of 15 of the most consistent performers from within the SA-based sides. It was quite a difficult decision in 15 to make, and there's obviously a lot of debate and stuff like that we can have. So I want to know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Now, making it SA-based, trying to sort of bring down the player pool a bit, because we start looking at sort of overseas players and stuff like that. It all becomes quite muddy in terms of trying to sort of decide who's on better form based on different competition, stuff like that. At least when trying to pick this, there are players who are playing in the same competitions, playing at the same standard of rugby, and the same sort of similar sort of playing conditions as well. And there are quite a few players who are sort of quite controversial, could have gone either way. But yeah, so I'm just going to give you what sort of my 15, as I said, there could have been a lot of players that you could have chased, stuff like that, so I just want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. So we started with the front row. Now the front row is quite difficult, especially with loose heads. I think that loose head, there have been a lot of loose heads playing in and around South Africa. I don't think too many are sort of putting their hand up in terms of their complete all-around game, consistently sort of through January through to December. I think some players have had some sort of nice patches, you know, like the likes of Tukum Kunos had a very nice sort of patch of form and stuff like that, but sometimes the scrummaging has been found wanting. Leon Lyons, for example, has been quite good at points, but also sort of suffered a bit with injury. So like Steve Satole, for example, was playing some very nice rugby, then sort of dropped off a bit now, was playing more rugby and stuff like that. So I think there's quite a big competition in the front row from the two Bulls loose heads in the forms of Gerard Steenekamp and Simpiwe Mantanzima. I've gone with Gerard Steenekamp because I think he's had a more consistent year, January through to December. You know, it's been a breakthrough year for him. He's become pretty much a stalwart in that Jake White side. And I've been very impressed with sort of how kind of came a bit out of nowhere and is sort of just playing week in, week out at a very high standard. Simpiwe Mantanzima is ending the year very, very strong. And I think he's going to be a very important part of the Bulls moving forward. I think he's a very exciting player. I think he's definitely, if he can continue playing the way he is, definitely potentially Springbok material. In terms of hooker, I've gone with Johan Krobelaar. I mean, it's quite an easy pick at the end of the day. Other players, worthy of mention is somebody like a Simon Vestrad, who was terrific in the latest Currie Cup campaign. But Johan Krobelaar was just fantastic the entire year, and can count himself very, very unlucky that he actually isn't a cap Springbok. He was called into the squad very much deserved. Didn't get an opportunity to play, but I'm sure that he'll be in and around that squad for the next couple of years, and I'm sure he will eventually make his Springbok debut quite soon. In terms of tight ends, I've gone with Carly Sari. I just think that, I think that he could be in that Springbok squad, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye, and that's saying a lot given the sort of the tight head depth that you've got in this box. You know, the likes of Frans Malherbe, Trevor Nyakane, Thomas Tutoy, Wilco Lowe. There's so many quality tight heads, but I genuinely think that Carly Sari would fit in as easily. Probably the best scrummaging prop in the country at the moment. There are very few front rows he hasn't demolished over the past sort of 12 months. And he's starting to bring a bit more into a sort of all-round game, but he's a very, very good operator, Carly Sari. Absolute unit of a man, and playing some very, very good rugby. The locks were quite tricky because, again, I think, we're looking at players throughout the year who sort of come in, played well, and then either got injured or something like that. So it was quite difficult to find two locks who consistently played all year and played very well. One was very easy. I've gone with Ronald here at number 4. And enough said, really. He's been playing week in, week out for the Bulls. He's switched on the flank. He's been probably one of the most consistent forwards in South Africa throughout the entire year in the local scene. Fantastic player, and I think that he was another one who's probably destined to play Springbok rugby. In terms of adding another lock there, that's when it gets a bit more tricky because, for example, you look at the Sharks and they recycle their locks a lot. Ruben van Heerden, Hiron Andrews, LaRue Roots. There have been so many different locks who are coming in and coming out and stuff like that. For the Lions, I think Ruben Schoolman's been very good this year. It's probably been a very improved season. But I've gone with JD Schikkerling, who I think has maybe not played as much rugby as you would like, and is in theory no longer South African based, but did play for the large majority of the year in South Africa. I just think that he was probably going to be part of the Springbok squad come mid-year had he not had that injury at that very unfortunate time. I know he didn't play as much rugby, but I think that was a pretty common problem for a lot of the locks in the country. And I think that he's probably been more. I think he is probably Springbok material. Very underrated player is JD Schikkeling. Somebody else who I think is worthy of mention is Peter Janssen van Vuren, who's actually now made a move to the Lions on loan. But the Pumas captain's been very solid for the Pumas over the past sort of 12 months. Moving into the loose trio, I mean, it's always been a position or aspect of a team that South Africa has been so blessed with, and there are so many players who are putting their hands up. The likes of Anamaklaba, who's looking very good after injury. Pepsi Buthelezi, who I think is destined to be potentially a Springbok captain. There's some phenomenal players. Marcel Katsia back in the setup. Arno Buerta back in the setup. But the three I've gone with Ulrich Loh at 6, because he's played throughout the various positions, stuff like that. So I can put him at 6 without having to worry about having to justify it. Ulrich Loh has been one of the best Bulls finds. Brought him up from the Eastern Cape, and he's been absolutely terrific. And I think that when it comes to the South Africa A next year, choosing a loose trio is going to be probably the hardest decision for the coaches, because there are so many talented players. And Ulrich Loh has been, I think, from one of the best performances I've seen from him in the Currie Cup final in January, he just sort of never really stopped. He's sort of week in, week out, putting a similar type of performance in. Number 7, I've gone with Vincent Tuka. As soon as he gets a passport, I don't see how he doesn't get into that Springbok squad. He is just playing such good rugby. He was instrumental in the latest game against the Stormers, where he just makes so many. He fulfills the Peter Steph Toy role for the Lions. He makes often the most tackles in the lineup. He carries the ball very, very well. He's a very good line-out option. He's got an entire all-round game, and I think if it wasn't for passport issues, I think he'd be in and around that Springbok alignment camp, Springbok squad a lot sooner. And then number 8, a pretty easy pick. It has to be Evan Lewis. He's played absolutely sensational rugby since returning to the Western Province. Leading try scorer in the Currie Cup, led with the amount of meters made and carries made. Had a bit of a quiet start to the URC, where he hasn't been as effective as he probably would have liked to be, but an incredibly physical man, very good ball carrier, explosive off the with ball in hand, and I think that he's another one who's sort of on the sort of the factory or the conveyor belt of just loose forwards that we're just churning out at the moment. The halfback combination was quite difficult. Choosing a scrummer was difficult because I think that Ruan Pienaar had a very solid end to the year. But I didn't really want to put Ruan Pienaar into a side which is largely, from the looks of it, players who go on to play for the Springboks. Some of these players in the side have been capped, but in terms of thing, and I thought that with Ruan Pienaar, I just think that he obviously with the note for himself, maybe didn't play as much rugby as you probably would have liked to have seen. But I've actually gone with Zach Burger because I think that he was probably the pick of the scrum halves in the Currie Cup last Currie Cup, which sort of travel into this year. I thought he then made his move to the Bulls and just slotted straight in. I think that he is all of a sudden from captain the Greek was a year ago is firmly on the block radar. Could have also gone with Grant Williams. I think that had he not been part of the Springbok squad and played the sort of Currie Cup and URC, probably also would have managed to snuck in there. But also again, in terms of playing time and stuff like that, similar case to be made with Jan Kobela, but Kobela was just the standout hookup by a country mile. So I've gone with Zach Burger. So let me know if you think with that pick, or would you have gone with Ruan Pienaar? And then for fly half, again, quite a tricky one. Jordan Hendricks, I thought this year was pretty good. Tim Sweels had some good games and some bad games. Buddha Chamberlain's obviously ended the year very well. I've gone with Johan Goosen for that sort of Currie Cup form and stuff like that. Again, probably didn't play as much rugby, but I think that was a common problem with a lot of the fly halves. With Buddha Chamberlain now coming towards the end of the year, now playing a lot more. Tim Sweel had a pretty poor patch, then came playing very nicely, and now struggling a little bit. Jordan Hendricks is probably actually, has a very good shout to being part of there, but I don't think that he quite had the impact that Johan Goosen had for the Bulls, where he was so instrumental throughout that Currie Cup campaign. In terms of the two wings, the two speedsters, for number 11, I've gone with Raus Kwana, the second highest try scorer. I think he scored 6 tries in the Currie Cup, and then he just took that form straight into the URC, and he's looked dangerously good. With ball in hand. He's scoring tries for fun. He's slightly edged Edwin Cato, who's also been terrific. Edwin van der Merwe has had a very good shot, very good season. Very interested to see how he develops. Him and Rubs are going to be a very interesting combination for the Lions in the months moving forward. On the other wing, I've gone with Madosh Tambwe, who moved from the Lions to the Sharks, had some very good games, but couldn't quite sort of knuckle down a spot, and has now moved to the Bulls and become very much a mainstay in that Bulls side. Scoring tries for fun. He's added a lot more to his game. I think he's a lot more better in the air. He's a bit more physical on defense, stuff like that. So I think he's been a very good addition to that side. Inside center, Berger Windal, I think I was very tempted to go with Berger Windal, but you just can't ignore. I know he's sort of playing in and around in lots of different positions, but you just can't ignore Cornel Hendricks, can you? He's just sublime, absolutely sublime. I mean, he very much was in the conversation to be part of the Springbok squad in the mid-year sort of series for the Lions, and obviously because of medical issues and issue with the SA Rugby, didn't join up with the squad. But I mean, since then he's moved to the wing, he's moved to the centres, and whatever he does, he's often within the top 5 best players on the field every single match. So you just can't ignore the sort of rugby he's playing at the moment. I think he's made our preparation series team of the tournament. I think he was like Curry Cup team of the tournament in the beginning of the year. Could very well have been our Rainbow Cup team of the tournament. He's been absolutely brilliant for the Bulls. For outside centre, I've gone with Wandisile Simelane. He is the natural succession for Lekanya Am. If Lekanya Am were to be injured tomorrow, defensively he still has a lot of work to do. So when somebody's Simelane, so they'll probably go with Jesse Creel. But in terms of the flair, in terms of the creativity, in terms of the excitement, with ball in hand, Wandisile Simelane is second to none in this country. Bernard Cox had some very good games at outside centre. Since returning, Harold Forster and Donald Pooh have been quite interesting in their centre combinations. Obviously, you've got John de Jong, who's back in for the Stormers. Rex Pretorius, Dan Duplessis also operating there a lot as well. As a Jeremy Ward, but I just think it's Simelane. He's just got that X factor. He's got that something different. Whenever the Lions play well, whenever they've had good results, he is almost always at the centre of everything good for the Lions. And then at fullback, breaking my rules slightly in terms of maybe not playing as much, but couldn't pick up Lady Fast because he was capped for the box. So I've gone with Warwick Galant, simply because those 2-3 games at the end of the Currie Cup, and then as URC Player of the Month in the first URC, you can't ignore it. He's just been brilliant since September through to December. He's been on a different level. How he was not part of that Springbok squad, I've got no idea. You're looking at other fullbacks. Tian Swanepoel's in there with a sharp, but he's played pretty well throughout the year. Also, Peterson had a very nice sort of late charge and was playing some pretty nice rugby as well. Kern Bosch has had some good games and some bad games fullback for the Sharks. So I think Galant is probably the standout 15 over the past 12 months, despite not playing in about 9 of them. But he's just so good, isn't he? And I'm always a bit biased. I really do like Warwick Galant, but he just makes rugby look very, very simple. And for me, the natural succession for Billy Leroux. So this is how my side lines up. Quite a sort of spread of players in and around the union, stuff like that. Obviously, as I said, a lot of players you could put in there. It's always difficult leaving players out. So let me know which players you would include in your 15 down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.